Rumpelstiltskin. Once upon a time there was a miller. He was poor, but he had a beautiful daughter. Now it so happened that he got to speak with the king, and to make himself look good, he said to him, "I have a daughter, she can spin straw into gold." The king said to the miller, "That is an art that pleases me well. If your daughter is as skilled as you say, bring her to my castle tomorrow, and I will then put her to the test." When the girl was then brought to him, he led her into a chamber that was piled high with straw, gave her a spinning wheel and a reel, and said, "Now get to work, and if you have not spun this straw into gold overnight, by dawn, then you must die." With that he himself shut up the chamber, and she remained inside, alone. Then the poor miller's daughter sat there with no idea how to save her life. She had no idea how anyone could spin straw into gold, and she became more and more afraid, until at last she began to cry. Then all at once the door opened, and a little mannikin walked in and said, "Good evening, young miller lady. Why are you crying so extremely?" "Alas," the girl answered, "I have to spin straw into gold, and don't know how." The mannikin said, "What will you give me if I spin it for you?" "My neckband," said the girl. The mannikin took the neckband, sat down at the wheel, and whir, 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 3 pulls, and the spool was full. Then he put another one on, and whir, 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 3 pulls, the second one was also full. And so it went on until morning, and all the straw was spun, and all the spools were full of gold. Bright and early at sunrise the king arrived, and when he caught sight of the gold he was amazed and delighted, but his heart became even more avaricious. He had the miller's daughter put in another chamber full of straw that was even larger, and commanded her to spin that too, in one night, if she valued her life. The girl did not know which way to turn, and cried. Again the door opened, and the little mannikin appeared and said, "What will you give me if I spin the straw into gold for you?" "My ring from my finger," answered the girl. The mannikin took the ring, once more began to make the wheel whir, and by morning had spun all the straw into gleaming gold. At the sight of it the king was overjoyed beyond measure, but still had not had enough of gold, but rather had the miller's daughter put in a still larger chamber full of straw, and said, "You must also spin all this tonight, but if you succeed you will then become my wife." Even though she is a miller's daughter, he thought, I will find no richer wife in the whole world. When the girl was alone, the little man returned for the 3rd time and said, "What will you give me if I spin the straw for you this time as well?" "I don't have anything else that I could give you," replied the girl. "So promise me if you become queen, your first child." Who knows how things will turn out, thought the miller's daughter, and also did not know what else to do in this emergency, so she promised the mannikin what he demanded, and thus the mannikin once more spun the straw into gold. And in the morning, when the king came and found everything as he had wished, he therefore entered into matrimony with her, and the miller's beautiful daughter became a queen. Over the next year she brought a beautiful baby into the world, and thought no more of the mannikin. Then one day he suddenly walked into her chamber and said, "Now give me what you promised." The queen was horrified, and offered the mannikin all the riches of the kingdom if he would leave her her baby, but the mannikin said, "No, I would rather have something living than all the treasures in the world." Then the queen began to weep and wail so much that the mannikin took pity on her. "I will give you 3 days' time," he said. "If by then you know my name, then you may keep your child." Then all through the night the queen racked her brains for all the names she had ever heard, and sent a messenger across the country to inquire far and wide what other names might exist. When the mannikin arrived the following day, she began with Caspar, Melchior, and Balthasar, and said all the names she knew in turn, but after each one the mannikin said, "That is not my name." On the 2nd day she had people ask around in the neighborhood about the names of the locals, and said the most unusual and extraordinary names to the little man. "Is your name perhaps Short Ribs, or Sheepshanks, or Laceleg?" But he always responded, "That is not my name." On the 3rd day the messenger returned and reported, "I was not able to find a single new name, but when I came to a high mountain at the edge of the forest, where fox and hare say good night to each other, there I saw a little house, and the fire was burning in front of the house, and around the fire was dancing a quite excessively ridiculous mannequin, hopping on one leg and shouting, "Today I bake, tomorrow I brew, day after tomorrow I carry off the queen's baby. Oh, how good it is that no one knows that Rumpelstiltskin is my name." Then you may imagine how full of joy the queen was to hear the name. And when soon afterwards the little man entered and asked, "How now, queen lady, what is my name?" she first asked, "Is your name Kunz?" "No." "Is your name Heinz?" "No." "Is your name perhaps Rumpelstiltskin?" "The devil told you that! The devil told you that!" screamed the little man, and in rage stamped his right foot so deep into the earth that it went in up to the hip. Then in his fury he grabbed his left foot in both hands and ripped himself in two.